Yo, what's going on, fellas? It's your boy Huncho. Just making a quick little video for you guys. I'm gonna be basically explaining this strategy that I've been mentioning to all my uh, Discord members recently. It's something that I've been trying to do to help everybody that doesn't really want to have a crazy looking chart, but just have something, a little bit cleaner, a little bit more clear on the charts to be able to take plays. Right. This involves the orb strategy, the orb breakout. So I'm going to show you guys my approach on how I look at this. I'm still tweaking it, but it's been working pretty well. So before anything, guys, what I do is I chart on the 30 minute. I mainly chart on the 15 minute, but in this chart I only chart the 30-minute key pivots. So the areas of harsh rejection, and strong bounces, right? So this is very easy. You guys know about this. This is support resistance. This is nothing crazy. Now, the areas where I would mark would be, around this 668, this 650, then we got 656. So these areas where you guys see just basically support resistance, but on the 30 minute, right? And the reason why I say the 30 minute is because I take plays on the 5 minute, but whenever you guys see, accumulation around these levels, by accumulation I mean like you see a setup is being formed in that area at that level, and you got that level from the 30 minute. I always look at it as a potential, like basically like a great setup, like a major bag play, because especially if it's on like a bigger time frame, it's you're looking for a bigger move, instead of charting on like the 1 minute or the 5 minute, because you don't know how aggressive that move is going to be from that level, right? Even though it looked pretty nice on the 3 minute on the smaller time frame, unless you're scalping, it's probably not the best level to have, especially if you're looking for trend plays, and like nice range plays from the bottom to the top. We're talking about like previous day high and such. So if that makes sense, but yeah, guys. So I tried on the 30 minute. I'm gonna show you guys all the pivots there. I already had them down. So one of the things I want to mention to you guys is whenever I have key pivots that are very like close to each other, and you can see that previously when price was between these levels, there was a little bit of consolidation going on. So I mark these areas as my key zones, like basically like yeah, just my areas where I'm looking at a potential rejection or a break and retest above, right? So we've had two aggressive rejections from this area, and as you guys can see, we've had consolidation previously and bounces, and hold aboves when price was holding above 670. Now under it, this area is going to be very important to watch in this upcoming week if we end up back in this 668 key zone and between 670. Okay, so yeah, these are my 30-minute pivots. Another thing is I'm mainly looking at the 5 minute intraday, and I'm gonna show you guys the indicator I use. So the indicator is, if you look up, I'm gonna leave the link in along with this video, so you guys can just copy it and just put it on your trading view. But if you guys look up orb, look up something where it says I forgot the name, but I don't have the link there. If you have trouble finding it or putting it on your chart, just let me know, and we can get that figured out. All right. So this indicator right here, I was looking something that had to do with the orb, right? Mainly having the orb high and the orb low, and this one's with the 15 minute, right? So it's a little bit cleaner, it's a little bit better instead of having it really small, really tight. It gives me like a bigger range to play with, right? Especially if we're looking at the 15-minute time frame, right? So one of the things that I look at whenever we're in this box is, first things first is, depending how we open, I look at the orb high and the orb low as my main support resistance, and then there's also pre-market levels. Okay, so whenever we see some consolidation or just rejections from resistance at the orb high, I look for puts, and then I target the orb below. And then, if we're getting support at orb below, we grab calls and then target orb high. And then we see continuation to the upside. That's when we, start taking scales, and letting our runners play out. Now, if you want an A+ setup, you got to be really patient with this and allow for a break and retest to occur. Okay? So we have this retest, grab calls from this orb high range, and then, you can play the continuation of the upside. Same thing with puts. You want to wait for that break and retest off of one of these levels, or if you're looking for grabbing puts on that breakout, instead of waiting for a retest, you just grab puts. You can target the orb high. These are based off of the fibs. I mean the orb low I meant, but these are based off of the fibs. I believe this is I don't know if it's a 61% or the 70 or I believe it's the 50% and then the 61%. But yeah, these are pretty good targets to have out after these breakouts. These are, just something to have on your chart. I don't know how reliable these levels are. Like I'm saying, especially this setup right here, I'm gonna mention is a great setup to take in these orb lows, especially when they match the 30-minute key pivots. Look at this. You can grab calls with confidence, especially if you see this nice pop and hold above this level, and you have orb low, and you have the key pivot. So you can grab calls right here, and then just look for a nice move to the upside. Okay. Now, I'm gonna explain what happened on Friday, and this is why I took puts. I was mentioning that I was looking for basically, resistance at pre-market high and orb high. Okay, so if you guys see pre-market high, which was right here at 661.27, we were seeing some rejection here. First of all, we have this fat rejection, and then we have a continuation, and this candle gets swept. We were having some weakness trying to break out of this orb high, and then we get a FU candle. Okay, this stopped me out. All right, this has not been the first time. I hate these FU candles. They just get me cooked all the time, and it's very frustrating, especially when you see, especially when you're right, but it's just a bad entry. All right, so if you guys see right here, the puts that we took down here, they ended up playing out. It was a choppy move down, but we did get the move to the downside, right? But yeah, you guys can play this right here, the orb high, when you ever see resistance, especially if it matches pre-market. And then you guys can see right here, you could just re-enter and then grab puts as well. If you didn't grab the top, you can grab them around here, and then also same thing with orb low. All right, and then you guys understand the breakouts very well. And let me see if I can grab a different example here. So obviously we have these zones as well, right? But if you want to be really patient with it, don't get so excited when you get these breakouts from these boxes just to grab calls or whatever, because if you could grab puts right here, you would get fricked, and if you grab calls right here, you're gonna get fricked too. So if you guys wait for these breakout and retests, as you guys can see right here, boom, you can grab these puts that'll give you a nice pay. All right. So yeah, that's basically how I play it, guys. You guys can see how I commentate throughout the day. It's hard for me to put everything in words. I'm trying to explain this as best as I can. But yeah, guys, this is the indicator I use. If you want a clean chart, you guys can eliminate, a lot of these other lines if you guys want to have this. And you use this and you match these with 30-minute key pivots, okay? As you guys can see, right when you get that retest, you can target the next 30-minute key pivot. We got that pretty clean. And as you guys can see, these levels here, these are not something that I just fixed after. We can look very clearly right here. 65, 658, 30, 38, 655, 80. All right. Look, let me take off the indicator. 658, 38, 655, 80. Okay. And look, nothing was there. This was on Thursday. Okay. So, yeah, guys, these are levels that I look at, and you just got to be really patient with them to be able to take these plays. Just honestly, guys, it's not really, a great difficult thing to actually become profitable. But the big struggle here, guys, is patience. I think that a lot of us struggle with that, including myself sometimes. But it's something that we develop as time goes, and the more experience we get in the markets, and also just learning to just read price action and just allow the play to come to us and execute with confidence. All right, guys. So if you guys have any questions, just make sure to tag me in the chat wherever this is going to be posted on YouTube or Discord. Man, yeah, guys. Let's have a good week. Let's continue to bang. If you guys have any questions, like I said, just shoot me a message, and I'll get to you guys as soon as possible.